Well, it's not even Thanksgiving yet here in the United States, and COVID-19 cases are already skyrocketing all over. Admittedly, cases were way down here in the Bay Area, so I have actually been a bit lax about it lately, in that I have been going to grocery stores to shop while masked, obviously, instead of ordering delivery or pickup. And I've been having more socially distanced outdoor hangouts with friends in the area. But it's time, unfortunately, to go back to being a shut-in freak because Kyle decided to have a Halloween party without masks. A Halloween party without masks. Like, it's the easiest kind of party to have masks at, Kyle. What the fuck? Anyway, I was skimming science news headlines this week when I noticed a quite alarming headline. Spanish study finds dog owners have 78% higher risk of catching COVID. Oh shit. All my careful quarantine planning has gone to waste because of this diseased beast. And clicking through, I found even worse news. Activities that significantly increase someone's risk of testing positive included accepting supermarket deliveries at home, which raised the risk by 94% and was found to be more dangerous than actually going to the shop. Oh no, not the grocery deliveries too. What the? Okay, let's stick a pin in this balloon. I was pretty skeptical, but at the end of the article, I learned that this was actually just copy and pasted from the Daily Mail and then posted to the science subreddit. Come on, guys. This is all based on a real study, actually, which was published in early September and which you can read in full online. Spanish researchers surveyed 2,000 people in April of this year to ask if they had knowingly contracted COVID-19 or thought that they had. And then they asked for a long list of their demographics and activities. Then the researchers went through and they highlighted anything that looked like it had a particularly strong correlation between activity and being COVID-19 positive. Okay, time for a quiz. Just based on that description, what problems do you think this study might suffer from? I'll give you a minute to think it over. And we're back. Did you figure it out? First of all, a survey like this cannot tell you causation, only correlation. They found that people who contracted COVID-19 were more likely to have groceries delivered than to go shopping in a store. Is it possible that they didn't go to the store because they had a deadly virus and they were supposed to be under quarantine? In fact, 6.9% of positive respondents said they got grocery delivery. 8.1% had been in a medical establishment. The other issue with this study is that it is classic p hacking. I've talked about this before. You can't build a solid study by collecting 1,000 different data points with no real hypothesis, and then just going through and saying, oh, look, here's one data point that might be significant. If you look at enough different attributes, you are more and more likely to find something interesting that's just an accidental blip. That's why scientists consider a study like this preliminary. We looked at 1,000 different demographics and found that owning a dog correlated to COVID-19. Now someone else needs to follow up on that by specifically studying dog ownership and COVID-19. This survey asked people about their sex, age, weight, physical activity, residence type, family size, number of children, pets, usage of masks, usage of gloves, usage of disinfectant on hands, surfaces, shoes, and products, clothes washing habits, use of and type of public transportation, travel to grocery stores, pharmacies, tobacco shops, banks, and doctor's offices, working at home versus working on site, traveling abroad, and then general comorbidities. With all of that, is it any shock that they found a correlation somewhere? 59% of the COVID positive respondents reported that they lived with someone who tested positive. That is a pretty solid correlation even amongst dozens of attributes. Compare that to the 6.9% of COVID positive respondents, or 28 people who said that they walked their dogs. Oh, and by the way, the headline just says dog owners, but in fact, this was specifically highlighting people who own dogs and walked them. There is, unfortunately, a difference. Anyway, it's not a bad study per se if it's appropriately considered a preliminary paper. But I stop wanting to give the authors the benefit of the doubt when they write in their discussion things like, these results point to living with dogs as a strong risk factor for COVID-19 infection. They don't. They really don't. They conclude, the results of this study demonstrate that living with dogs, working on site, purchasing essential commodities by using home delivery service, and especially living with a COVID-19 patient have been the main routes of transmission of SARS-CoV-2 during the most restrictive period of confinement in Spain. That is a completely ridiculous thing to say, especially considering that the study found absolutely no correlation between COVID-19 positivity and home delivery of things like ready meals or non-essential products. There's no discussion of it. There's no suggested explanation for this difference, except for this one single sentence. These results would also suggest certain weaknesses in maintaining the hygiene chain and home delivery transportation systems, which is an absolutely galling thing to publish in September of 2020, months after scientists have conclusively figured out that the primary spread of this virus is through person-to-person contact and not through surfaces. That is actively unhelpful, and it should probably be retracted. The simple fact is that we don't know much about COVID in animals like dogs and cats because it appears to be extremely rare. And the only instances we have of dogs and cats catching it is when their human already had it. Any other method of transmission would have to be through contact the dog has with someone positive, which they then bring to you, which would be surface transmission, which scientists now think is very rare. So please do not be afraid to walk your dog regardless of what the Daily Mail or these study authors have to say. Wear a mask, wash your hands, and don't take your dog to an indoor party thrown by COVID deniers, for God's sake.